A very good morning, students, and welcome to the brand new year, a year of new way of learning, online learning. Okay, so I'm here to teach you all biology. Now, this is the first time you are studying the three sciences as physics, chemistry, and biology. So, biology is all about the study of living things. Okay, so we'll be studying all about the living world, about plants and animals, about their making, okay, what is their constitution, and how they function. Okay, so you can remove your textbook, and on page 1 we'll start with the first chapter, and the name of the chapter is tissues. Now before I begin with tissues, I would like to think about you all to think about what is our body made up of. Okay, just like any other, all the animals, all the plants in the world, even our human body is made up of a basic unit which is known as a cell. Okay, what is it called? It's called as a cell. Now, our body is made up of millions and billions of cells. Now, many of these cells, they are having the same function. Okay, they are having the same function, and these cells then come together and they are known as tissues. Okay, so millions of cells in the body, and when the cells are of the same structure and they carry out the same function, then they are known as tissues. So in this chapter we are going to study about tissues. Now I hope you have opened your chapter 1 on page 1, and you can see the name of the chapter is tissues. So I shall read and you shall understand it. Your body is made up of millions of cells. Are all these cells similar? No. Do all of them carry out the same function? No, it's not possible. Okay, so many of these cells have the same function, but not all cells have the same structure and same function. You know that the cell is a basic unit of life. Cells are unique in that they function independently or in a group. Okay, so they can be either an independent cell or they can function as a group. Many cells together forming a group known as a tissue. A unicellular organism is made up of only one cell. Okay, like the amoeba. Okay, we have studied last year about the amoeba. Now that amoeba is made up of only one cell, and that is why it is known as a unicellular organism. Whereas all other animals like the birds, like the fruits, they are made up of many cells, so they are multicellular organisms. A unicellular organism is made up of one cell, whereas a multicellular organism is made up of many cells. Now we come to organization in a multicellular organism. Just like in any place, there is an organization. Okay, in an organization. So in the same way, in our body also, there is an organization. Okay, so just like the school building, we can say the school building, it is made up of, there are many compartments in that. It is not just one big room, right? Okay, there are many divisions in that. Okay, there is a office room, there is a library room, there is a computer room, there are various divisions, there are many classes, first standard, second standard, nursery. So in the same way, our body is made up of many divisions. So all multicellular organisms start from a single cell, the zygote. Okay, now what is a zygote? The union of the male and the female leads to the formation of a single cell, which is known as zygote. Remember, we did that last year. Yes, we had done that last year in that chapter about plants. Okay, so we learned that it forms the multicellular organisms all start from one single cell. And what is the name given to that single cell? Is called as a zygote. The zygote divides repeatedly to form the embryo. Now that small one cell, it divides again and again and again. It becomes bigger, and it is, what is it called? It is called as an embryo. The cells in the embryo continue to divide and it forms the organism. Okay, now this embryo, it again divides, redivides, again divides, and it forms an organism. Okay, just like the small seed. Okay, how is it formed? Okay, the fruit, how is it formed? It is formed from the seed. Okay, so that it divides, and then it forms a whole organism. Each type of cell carries out a specific function. Each multicellular organism contains many different types of cells. So any organism, you take the dog, the cat, whatever, they are made up of different types of cells. It is not only our human body, but even the body of cats and dogs. A group of cells that are similar in structure and function, carry out a specific function, is known as a tissue. Now, in our body, there are many cells that are similar in structure, okay, and they have a similar function. So what are they together? They group together and they are known as a tissue. They come together and they form a tissue. For example, muscle tissue is made of muscle cells. Okay, many tissues form an organ. Many tissues are coming together, and what do they form ultimately? An organ. Many organs that work together to perform a life function form an organ system. Now organs come together. There can be many organs. Okay, for example, you can take the, if you take the respiratory system, for example. Okay, now you breathe through your nose. Okay, the air passes through your nostrils. It's a respiratory organ. It passes through the windpipe, okay, and it enters into the tracheae. Okay, there is a pipe here known as tracheae. That's all part of the respiratory system. From there it enters into the bronchioles, okay, and then it bronchi and branches are known as bronchioles, and then it enters into the alveoli. Okay, so there are many parts like that, and enters into the lungs. So all these are lungs, the tracheae, the windpipe, the nostrils, they're all what part of the respiratory system. Understood? So this respiratory system is an organ system. And what is this organ system made up of? Organs. The lung is an organ, trachea is an organ, nostrils becomes an organ. So they are made up of different organs. So they are known as a organ system. Understood? The different organs that help in the digestion of food together make up the digestive system. Similarly, we have the digestive system. Now, what does the digestive system start with? It starts with the mouth, or rather the tongue. Okay, we chew the food. Okay, even our teeth is part of the digestive system. Okay, then you gulp the food, it enters into the food pipe, then it goes down, it enters into the stomach. Okay, from the stomach it goes into the small intestine, then the large intestine, the rectum. So these are all parts of the digestive system. Many organ systems come together and make a multicellular organism. Now, what is our body made up of? Many systems, not just one system. There are many systems. The respiratory system, there is the digestive system, there is the nervous system, there is the circulatory system, there is a reproductive system, there is an excretory system, there is a skeletal system. Okay, so all these systems come together and they form the body of a multicellular organism. Okay, so our body is made up of many systems. And in this theme, let us learn about the types of tissues that are found in plants and animals. So, what are these? All these systems made up of? Ultimately, they are made up of tissues. So, we're going to study about the various tissues, and they are not only found in the animals, they are also found in the plant. Even the plants are made up of tissues. Okay, just like the animals are made up of tissues, even the plant body is made up of tissues. So, we're going to first study about the plant tissues. Now I'm on page 2, children. The tissues in plants are classified mainly as meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Now there are two types of tissues in the plants. Okay, two types of tissues. They are the meristematic tissues, you can underline it, and the permanent tissue. So two types of tissues, meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue. Now we'll first study now what is this. These are two new terms for you all, I know. So let's study now what is the meaning of meristematic tissue. Okay, now meristematic tissue or meristem is made of rapidly dividing cells. What is the meaning of rapidly dividing? They're growing all the time. Okay, like a small baby's body is growing all the time, and within 6 months, the baby is a little more quite big. Okay, compared to the size when the baby is born. So we can say that the meristematic tissue is rapidly the dividing cells. Okay, they're made up of rapidly dividing cells. Now, in a plant body, we are talking about the plant tissue. Where are these tissues found? Where is this meristematic tissue found? At the growing tips of the plants. Okay, now when you think of a plant growing, where do you think, children, they grow the most? They grow at the tips. Okay, at the shoot part or at the root part, at the tips of the roots or the tip of the stem. Okay, now these are found over there. What is found over there? These meristematic tissues are found at the growing tips of the roots and in the growing tips of the stem. Okay, so you can underline that these are found. Where are they found? They are found in the tips of the roots and the stem. Okay, in stem they are found in the apical buds and the axillary buds. Now last year I remember teaching you all where is the apical bud and where is the axillary bud. Now where is the apical bud? Any plant, they got buds, you know. Okay, there are buds. So there are buds at the axis of the plant. At the axis of the plant, what is the axis of the plant? The place where the stem, okay, and the branch they meet, that is known as the axis of the plant. Okay, so they can be found there or they can be found at the apex. Okay, apex is at the tip. Okay, so at the apex or at the place where the stem and the branch they meet. Okay, the axis. Okay, so they are found in the apical buds as well as the axillary buds. They allow the plant to grow taller and are also needed for the branches to grow. So they help the plant body to grow tall. Okay, and also the branches to grow wider. They are also found just under the surface of the stem so that the stem can grow thicker. You know, the stem, it keeps growing. If you notice, if you have seen a plant outside in your garden, you see that this year it is this much and the next year you see it has grown more stouter. Okay, so why has it grown more stouter? It is grown wider. Why? Because of the presence of the meristematic tissue which are found and the surface, okay, under the surface of the stem. Okay, then you have this diagram here which is showing you, this diagram is actually telling you, see, this is the apex. Okay, this is the apical meristem. So this is the part I wanted to tell you, this is the part where you have the axillary bud. Okay, this part in between. Okay, so this is the axils and this lateral. Okay, also the lateral sideways it is helping it to grow. So these are the positions of the meristematic tissues in the plants. The apical meristem helps the plant to grow taller and this meristem helps the plant to grow. Okay, the lateral meristem helps the plant to grow thicker. Okay, so these are the three positions of the meristem. Now you come to the main characteristics of the cells in the meristematic tissue. Now, what is the characteristic? How can you distinguish between a meristematic tissue and a permanent tissue? Okay, so what is different about a meristematic tissue? These cells are constantly in a state of division. As I told you, they're rapidly growing, so they have to be constantly in a state of division. They're dividing all the time. Number two, the cells are thin. Okay, if you notice the cells over here, they will not be fat. Okay, they'll not be thick. They will be comparatively very thin. Okay, now we come to this side. The cells have a large nuclei. Okay, now what is a nuclei? It is the main, it's like the brain of the cell. Okay, so this brain of the cell, each cell has got a main part. Okay, the main commanding part. Just like our brain commands us to function in the same way, this nuclei is the commanding part of the cell. So these cells have a large nuclei. The nucleus is very large. Since the cells are not mature, they have only small vacuoles. Okay, they have very small. Now what are vacuoles? They are small empty spaces inside a cell. Okay, empty spaces inside the cell are known as vacuoles. Now the vacuoles are very small in the case of meristematic tissues. Fine. Once these cells have completed their period of rapid division, they differentiate into permanent tissues. Okay, now once these meristematic cells, okay, or are finished, okay, they rapidly divide, then what happens to them? They convert themselves into permanent tissues.